Thank you, everyone, for coming. Welcome to Fall 2025. We're going to get started with our program, but to kick us off, I'm actually going to turn it to someone far more important and cool than I am, Provost and Senior Vice President Caroline Jenko.
Elena's more important than me, we know that. Thank you, Elena. It's good to see everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I met some people at the table here, some postdocs. I'm Caroline Jenko. I'm the provost at Tufts, and I have the honor of kicking off today's program. It's so good to see all of you here today. It's a new academic year, believe it or not. I know we started, it seems like we're in the middle of it, right? I think I was just saying to Chris et al. That we've gotten pretty busy over the last 6 weeks, huh? But anyway, I'm glad that we could finally bring everybody together to celebrate today and to continue the wonderful work that the Office of the Vice Provost for Institutional Inclusive Excellence has been doing over the last year. There was a tremendous amount of work done last year, lots of listening sessions, preparing recommendations for Elevate that we're going to actually implement this year. I'm so thrilled we're going to be able to do that. We have a phenomenal leader in Elena. For those of you who don't know Elena, she's been here for about a year, but she definitely is a force. I really enjoyed working with her. Yes, and her team. It's been, as all of us know, a really tough year. Especially in this institutional inclusive excellence space. And I think now more than ever, we need to come together as a community to really focus on what it means to work together across differences, to listen to each other in dialogue, and to work together as one community. Because I think when we work together as one community, we're only better. And so I encourage all of us to really embrace that this year. Embrace all that we are here at Tufts, faculty, staff, and students, alumni. We are one community, and I think all the work that Elena and her team has been doing to foster that, not only here in Medford, but across all our other campuses in Grafton, the School of the Museum of Fine Arts in the Fenway, and the Boston Health Science Campus. We are really trying hard to work across all of our campuses as one institution. And so I thank you all for all the work that you do every day. I'm excited about the year ahead. I think there are a lot of wonderful opportunities to come together as a community, and I think Elena is going to talk a little bit more about that. So welcome, and I'm going to turn it over to Elena.
Hello, and also you're making me blush. Thank you, Caroline. It's been a pleasure working with you and leading this office. So welcome to 2025. As Caroline mentioned, my name is Elena McCauley. I serve as the Assistant Vice Provost for Inclusive Excellence and Leadership, and I'm really fortunate to welcome you all to this fall reception. We transitioned from being an evening event because we really wanted to ensure that you had some good food and you could still get home at the end of the day if you needed to. But thank you all for coming and really being a part of a community that feels so uniquely Tufts and continuing to contribute to what makes Tufts so great. So, as Caroline mentioned, community is at the heart of Tufts' experience, and it enriches our learning, creates a sense of belonging, and connects us to a bigger purpose. Our strength lies in the many perspectives and experiences that we have and we each bring in the ways that we work together. Tufts continues to be a community that is dedicated to creating opportunities for all our members to feel seen, valued, supported, and we are able to reach our fullest potential. This, in our office, is what we consider inclusive excellence. Over the years, the Tufts community has worked tirelessly to cultivate inclusive environments across all of our learning, research, and working spaces. We've learned, however, that true progress requires embedding a culture of inclusive excellence into our foundational principles, our processes, our practices, our operational standards of the university as well. And that's what we consider institutional inclusive excellence. So a step beyond in building who we are as an institution. As Caroline mentioned, everything we do in the OVP IIE is central to how Tufts fulfills its mission. Our university calls us to acknowledge to advance knowledge, foster ethical leadership, and serve the common good, right? When we reach out and we've done community engagement sessions, that's something that's critical to who we are and how we identify as an institution. But none of that is possible unless the members of our community, all members of our community, feel that they belonged, not just welcomed, but empowered to contribute. Inclusion is not merely a value that we proclaim, it's the mechanism through which we deliver on our promise as an institution. Tufts' mission challenges us to continue to create transformational educational experiences that generate impact beyond our campus and beyond our campus walls. That work succeeds only when every student, every faculty member, every staff member, every administrator, and even every alum can access, participate, and fully shape this community. Our university mission sets an ambitious charge to be a place of innovation, leadership, and public good. But missions don't come to life on paper, they come to life through people. And people flourish when inclusion is practiced. In the Office of the Vice Provost for Institutional Inclusive Excellence, we view inclusion not simply as a concept, but as a pathway to belonging. When we move from inclusion as a noun to a verb, we turn intention to action. By actively embedding inclusive behaviors, decisions, and systems into everyday life at Tufts, we cultivate a culture of belonging not just for today, but for the future. In doing so, we more fully realize and sustain the university's mission as it was intended. With this in mind, again, Caroline mentioned our wonderful team. I'm delighted to reintroduce you to our members of the Office of the Vice Provost for Institutional Inclusive Excellence, now located in Barnum Hall, so out of Ballou, no offense to Ballou, but a little bit more fun and collegial. You can walk in, we keep our door propped. We'd love to see some walk-ins and friendly faces. And joined by my incredible team, we're thrilled for the many opportunities we have ahead for us to collaborate, learn, and grow together. Here in OVP IIE, we partner across schools, departments, and offices to bring together shared strategies for building an inclusive Tufts. Over the past year, this has included guiding change through our 4 key pillars: developing people and leaders, informing and advancing policies and practices, creating and expanding resources and research, and designing community-targeted educational programs. Oftentimes when people think about inclusion work, they think about the last one, right? What programs or activities are you doing? When in reality, the institutional capacity is built when we're developing and investing in our people, when we're expanding our policies and practices to ensure that every single person has the ability to thrive at this institution. And similarly, what resources are we offering to our community to ensure that gaps are being met? Across all of these pillars, we activate change through 5 key methods: collaboration, connection, which I hope we all get a little bit of time to do today, learning, dialogue, and strategy, ensuring that inclusion is not just defined but practiced. In 2024, with an ambitious mandate when I was hired just 15-ish months ago, driving Elevate, which is our inclusive excellence vision for the institution. If you've seen this logo, you're probably overwhelmed and annoyed with how often you've seen it across the institution, but it's really to drive meaningful change. But what does that mean in practice? In the spring of 2025, we identified 9 Elevate recommendations for operationalizing institutional inclusive excellence. This was informed by nearly over 10 community engagement sessions that we hosted in person and virtually on every single campus, incorporating over 450 voices in various focus groups from our staff, students, and faculty members, engaging with a steering committee that incorporated students, staff, faculty members, some of which I actually see in the audience, which is fantastic. And from all of that learning, all of that data, we came up with these 9 recommendations that I'll read off to you. 1, fostering connection, mentorship, and recognition. Expanding inclusive learning and development. Enhancing representative and informed thought partnership. Elevating best practices for a collaborative and innovative workplace. Cultivating a culture of care, something that I think I heard from every single member that participated. Prioritizing community-engaged research. enhancing visibility of applicable and translational resources, encouraging dialogue and discourse, and establishing community-driven programs. These recommendations are not only the result of our community visioning, but they also map across all of the Tufts Beyond 175 initiatives, as well as many other strategic priorities that we have at the institution. I'm sure as I read them to you, some of this makes sense, given who we know we are as an institution, and others are our opportunity as an office to think about how we're permeating and mapping this engagement across the institution. So looking ahead this year, what can you all look forward to? Our priorities focus on the next phase of Elevate, which involves working directly with schools and executive units to support planning and goal setting to align to the 9 Elevate recommendations. Deeply working with their leadership teams to ensure that goals and priorities are set to support all members of our community and further advance our mission, right? The goal is alignment, not sameness, but thinking about how each one of our schools and administrative units has a unique need, but recognizing that we can advance that further in a unified vision if we align to these recommendations. Launching our Elevator Learning Community, where all students, staff, and faculty are encouraged to participate to learn about concrete actions, right? Not just defining things, concrete actions anyone can take in their day-to-day interactions to support a culture of inclusion. Our work is centered on building capacity across the institution. We don't want to be a hub and spoke model for what inclusive excellence looks like. We are all leaders and can lead this change through our spheres of influence. Participation, this is the commercial slogan, participation can lead to earning a micro-credential and inclusion skills for institutional change. So we do hope you consider participating. And continuing to offer many educational programs, dialogue, as Naomi sits next to me, leadership development resources, ongoing consultation, which we've seen nearly 100 consultations over this past year, and keeping inclusive excellence at the center of our work. With that, I'm going to pause for questions. Nothing is off the table. Feel free to ask, and then we'll divert into our table activities moving forward. But I'm going to pause here to see if there's any questions from the audience. I think we've got some mic runners, and we'll go to questions. Yeah, we've got one from the audience.
Elena, thank you so much. I'm someone who is registered for the elevator
Yay.
training, so I'm very excited to engage with colleagues. I'm Nelson from the European Center, so we are a 96 Packard, but really we're alone. We're the only people in the building, so any chance I have to come talk to adults is fantastic. It really is. I get energy out of it, so I'm excited. But my question is for you, what does success look like for the upcoming year for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Put me on the spot up front, Nelson. Thank you so much. Success really looks like a unified shared goal setting strategy for the institution, right? As Caroline mentioned, I think oftentimes we see ourselves as driving distinct ships, right? What is the European Center doing to meet success? What is, Tisch College? What is biology? I'm seeing legal in the back, right? Different colleagues driving different agendas and different ways to advance this work. All we're saying is, wouldn't it be a stronger effort if we at least knew together what we were aligning to? And so again, the way that I read fostering mentorship, connection, and recognition might sound differently depending on who you're supporting, right? Students, faculty, administrators, staff, et cetera. And so our initiative this year, success this year, would look like having a tangible action plan for each unit across the campus that we could measure against, right? Holding ourselves accountable, holding ourselves and tracking what progress has looked like. And so developing this out this year. In a few years, hopefully we've seen a result of some of the actions to say, wow, we've really advanced and the vast majority of our community feels connected to this institution in ways that we maybe haven't seen before through our climate survey, through the various surveys that we put out. So I think short-term success would be having actually unified action goals, and then the next phase would be being able to measure and hold ourselves accountable to that. Great question. Other questions? Yeah. Mike Runner.
Thank you. For those who don't know me, I'm Lauren Crow, biology. I want to piggyback off of that question and ask whether or not there are any initiatives to allow crosstalk between those units. Sometimes it feels like we get kind of pigeonholed into our own departments or schools, and it feels like we're reinventing the wheel what opportunities will there be besides the elevator program to continue talking with people kind of across departments, across schools? And then a second part of my question is, what are the current barriers you're seeing? And do you have any kind of action plans coming kind of from the OVP IIE on how to address some of those?
Yeah, so I'll answer the first one first. You might have to remind me of the second one
Sure
by the
thing.
time I get through. But the first one, really crosstalk. I think the benefit of our office being positioned within the provost office is we have an institution-wide scope and view of some of the amazing activities and programs that you all are already doing in your units, right? And wouldn't that be a benefit if we expanded that across the institution with resources, with development? There are so many opportunities that I've heard of amazing work. I've obviously spoken with you all in your department pretty extensively. Wouldn't that be an amazing opportunity to either replicate or expand or offer? And so I see our office as being that strategy hub to say these are the ways in which we can coordinate some of those efforts. Elevators, certainly an opportunity for crosstalk. We have nearly 100 people signed up already to participate in our elevator program. The goal is 250 for those of you online, so continue to sign up. But thinking about the ways that often we are siloed, right? You come to us, we give you some resources, you move on. But how are we bridging the gap for other folks to come together? We also have a supporting our students group. So for any person who participates, I actually see some head nodding from folks who participate in the back. Any person who is supporting students in a different capacity can come together in a learning community that we've created over this past year. Similarly, we have one for faculty. It's a faculty roundtable talking about promoting inclusive excellence, which is in partnership with the OVPF and CELT. We also have Dialogue for Change, which is an opportunity that we do hope to continue to expand across the institution. So thinking about the ways in which we're taking some of these ideas and being able to elevate them to enable more success, because at this point, you're only going to be as successful as the people that you continue to engage and talk to, and we have so much opportunity to expand beyond that. I think your second question was about barriers. To name the jumbo in the room, right, I think there are a lot of barriers that we have to exist, right? One of that is our own detriment. We're decentralized and siloed unnecessarily in some cases. I would say that's the biggest barrier, right? There hasn't really been a lot of institution-wide coordination to align our work in this way. But I actually think there's nothing better to strengthen this work moving forward, to say we're all unified under one umbrella of how we permeate this work across the institution. So again, barrier met with solution. Beyond that, I would also acknowledge there are some national and international global concerns that are still resonating. But I think it's so true to who we are at Tufts. Regardless of what we call this work, regardless of how we do this work, it is so important to recognize that we are a community of people that have different lived experiences, different backgrounds, and different contributions that they can make to this community. And so how do we make sure that that resonates across our institution? And so, again, a barrier, but I think a really bright one that we can lean into with our institution's mission. Thanks. Chris. Yes, Chris.
You give me a microphone?
We love when Chris has a mic.
Chris has a mic. If you don't know me, I'm Chris Swan in the School of Engineering. I'm also one of the Associate Deans for Inclusive Excellence, so I get to interact with Elena and the crew a lot. One of the things that you have stated and that I really love is the one word, action. You talk about making things happen. And so I want to get to, it doesn't have to be very specific, but it'd be nice, is that what supports exist or can be expected from your office to get to the action?
Yes. Well, as a centralized hub, one of the things we do hope, right, is once we are supporting schools, administrative units through developing their own goals, sessions, and strategies. Sorry, there's a dog in the background here. Once we're working with schools and administrative units to align to their recommendations in some particular way, also thinking about the ways in which our office can support as a resource financially as well, right? Whether it's seed funding programs, whether it's, you have a really amazing idea to foster mentorship or connection or to create a culture of care. what can you tap into as like a seed grant, potentially, that might be a micro offering. I also think, we have a lot of resources with our team, in terms of the Inclusive Leadership Institute, like really seeing our people as resources as well to build the capacity across the institution, to really make sure that we're not just saying, now you must do, but how do you have the skills to do? So I see it as a both and opportunity. I'm sure when people hear resources, they go to monetarily already. But the reality is we as an office want to be doing more, providing modules, creating and expanding the resources and research in Pillar 3 is really to provide that for the institution so that we can reflect on, create some more learning opportunities, and build up the skills that we know are necessary to do this work well. Great. Yep, we have a couple in the back. Run, Naomi. I'm kidding.
Hello, Joanna Gray, Student Success Librarian, Tisch Library. Kind of related to the barriers question that was asked earlier, I was just wondering about whether inclusive excellence will be able to continue if any external or political pressures arise.
Great question. And I do think that resonates with, again, I say the jumbo in the room. It's really the elephant, but let's at least brand it as Tufts, right? And so I think that we will always feel pressure external, right? And as the movement of this work has existed for decades before, it'll exist for decades after. What it is called at the end of the day truly doesn't matter as long as we're carrying out our mission for all of our people. And so I think that sometimes, again, I understand why, but sometimes we have the enemy be the perfect of good, or what is it? The perfection be the enemy of the good. Thank you for the people that are actually good at quote remembrance. So I don't want us to get lost in the sight of if it can't happen this way, it can't happen at all. There are so many ways that we can enact this work moving forward, and it's intention, right? We collected all of the data through our community engagement sessions in the fall last year and into the winter. We analyzed it with all of these factors in mind. So we're really trying to think about how do we align the institution, knowing that there's legal compliance that will always need to be necessary, but legal should really be the bar in most cases, right? What we shouldn't do just shouldn't exist. But how do we carry forward who we were intended to be as an institution? Pax et Lux, our mission of creating transformational experiences for all of our people in inclusive environments. That's incredibly important to who we are. So I really don't think that I see a version where carrying out the work doesn't exist. I do see, whether the language changes and, certain things need to be tweaked. Certainly, but that doesn't change who we are as an institution. Great questions. Put me on the spot. Any other ones from the audience before we go into some of our connection-based activities? I think I've waited the appropriate awkward pause. Really to reemphasize here, and thank you all for the questions. I know we didn't get any from online, but if there are questions from folks who are in the live stream, please feel free to reach out to our email address, which is listed here, and I would be more than happy to continue to engage. There's also our consultation form that you're more than willing to submit to. But I do just want to reemphasize that every single one of us has the capacity to be a leader in inclusive excellence, right? Although we are the strategists for the institution, it doesn't mean that we're already not doing great work in our everyday. But how do we change this work from our spheres of influence to align to a larger and common good for the institution? So truly we have the power to build a more inclusive Tufts community. I hope that you continue to take care of yourselves and the work that you're all doing. Please connect with us. We have our email address listed there, our website. If there's language, we do hope to develop a variety of modules over the course of this fall and potentially into the spring on just what inclusive excellence looks like for different communities and how do we continue to enact that. So sign up for our newsletter and be informed about that moving forward. With that kind of concludes the formal piece of our program. I'm happy to now turn it to the conversation and energizer questions that we have on the tables. Each one of them is just a different question that kind of leans into one of the recommendations that we have. I'm not going to make you match and guess which ones are which, but certain might speak to mentorship, some might speak to culture of care, some might speak to translational resources or community engaged research. We really want you to introduce yourself to your tables if you haven't already, answer some of the questions, and if you're a fidgeter, we've got some Play-Doh on the table that you can either use at the table or take with you as you go. But I do hope that you remain in community with your colleagues, your new friends, and you're free to leave. We're not holding you here, but we do hope that you stay and enjoy for a while. So thank you for being here. Appreciate your time, and feel free to see us in Barnum. Thank you.